It's now my honor to introduce our next speaker, Mayor Jake Simpson from the city of SeaTac.
Well, it's really nice to be able to get back together. Again, I wanted to thank the Chamber for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to speak about the city that I love. As we emerge from the pandemic, I think all cities are resetting our priorities. One thing we noticed in SeaTac was the accumulation of litter on our sidewalks and streets during the pandemic. I'm going to remember to do my slideshow here. There we go. So we as a city took several steps to address the issue. We secured a state grant to pay for weekly cleanups along our freeway exits and entrances. Our Public Works Department launched an Adopt a Street program to connect our community to the cleanup effort. And we went big on the cleanup front. I was able to help kick off the inaugural Great SeaTac Scrub Down event at Angle Lake Park. For one day, dozens of volunteers spread across the city to clean their own community. During the event, roughly 65 bags of trash were picked up and nearly 1,000 pounds of garbage. Speaking of keeping SeaTac clean, the city initiated an electrification study. This study will assess electric vehicle needs for the city as well as create a roadmap to facilitate converting its current and future fleet to electric vehicles. Electrification of the city's vehicle fleet will benefit the city not only from an environmental perspective, but it will also reduce overall fleet maintenance and operating costs. And SeaTac is adding hundreds of new housing units. This year, the Inland Group will open 585 brand new affordable housing units at South 154th Street and International Boulevard. About a dozen new businesses will open on the ground floor of that development, including 3 restaurants, a market, a deli, a bubble tea shop, a coffee shop, a childcare facility, a barber shop, an electronics repair and sales store, a chiropractor office, and a neighborhood police office. So that building's got a lot going on. Some of the businesses are returning to SeaTac since they had moved due to redevelopment of this property. This project demonstrates SeaTac's support for transit-oriented development and more housing. And to fulfill that need, we have 3 major apartment complexes permitted, including the Time Apartments with 289 units, the Amelia Apartments with 107 units, and the SeaTac Hotel and Apartments with 182 units. Along the light rail line, Sound Transit is expanding to Federal Way, and as we have heard, there's a delay until 2025, but we look forward to the opening of the extension. Keeping our residents and visitors safe continues to be a priority in the city of SeaTac. The SeaTac Police hosted a virtual hotel-motel meeting to help local businesses with crime prevention and eradicating human trafficking. Protecting people from being trafficked is a top priority of the city. Last year, with the help from Senator Karen Kaiser and Rep. Tina Orwell, the city of SeaTac successfully championed a $140,000 state budget provision to combat human trafficking. The police continue to focus on this issue with operations designed to rescue people involved in human trafficking and arresting those that are committing these heinous crimes. The city also relaunched the Block Watch program and National Night Out after a slight COVID pause. 2 other important programs, the Teen and Community Police Academies, are back up and running, and those are helping connect our residents with our police force. One thing we relearned over the past 2 years is how important it is to get outside and enjoy nature. Our Parks Department has acquired 8 acres of land from WSDOT to expand the existing Des Moines Creek Park. And I was fortunate enough to be invited to the kickoff of the grand opening of the world-class SeaTac BMX Park in North SeaTac Park. City and staff and volunteers partnered with Forterra and Partners in Employment to restore 3.5 acres of urban forest inside of North SeaTac Park and maintaining a ½ acre at Angle Lake Trail. The volunteers removed invasive species, built habitat piles, and spread mulch that will take care of recently planted trees. Some of those volunteers included Councilmember Peter Kwan, port commissioners, myself, my family, other city council members. My daughter insists that we have to go back often because she said it was one of the most fun events that she's ever been to. She's 6 and she just loved cleaning up the invasive ivy. It's an interesting hobby for a 6-year-old, but you know. The city council also passed the Arts and Culture Master Plan, which guides the work of staff and volunteers to enhance arts and culture throughout the city. The goal of the plan is to bring all kinds of people together to create more art, culture, and visibility for SeaTac. The city also created a special events coordinator position who had put together several large public events, including the most recent Touch a Truck event. This picture is from our Touch a Truck event, where more than 500 people gathered at Valley Ridge Park to meet with hardworking government employees to find out how they serve our residents every day. There we go. Success has continued in our economic development efforts. The city created the SeaTac Specific Tourism Destination Development Plan, which is a long-term strategic tourism and travel plan that will improve the city's ability to attract visitors, conventioneers, and new businesses to the market. Our economic team conducted a business synergy outreach to contact 500 businesses in SeaTac to provide resources and improve communications between the city and local merchants. Our economic development department worked on ARPA funding allocation for small business support programs. And the city supported the opening of 2 multi-tenant international malls, the Mall of Africa and the SeaTac International Mall, representing 50+ businesses in the south part of our city along International Boulevard. The city also reinstated the SeaTac Hotel's shopping and dining shuttle program to support the local hospitality industry. In SeaTac, small businesses are the lifeblood of our city. The Small Business Association says 99.9% of all U.S. businesses are small businesses, and I wanted to showcase one such business. A good friend of mine from high school, Avina Love, owns Love's Buds and Blooms on International Boulevard, and I went and made this video for her.
Love's Buds and Blooms, and I've been an owner for a little over 2 years now. International Boulevard in SeaTac, right next to the airport on cemetery grounds. This is Velvet, and this is, what's your name? Chevy. Chevy, just like the car. Being with my babies, having that freedom to bring them with me. And then I would say getting to do the funeral work for people is pretty honorable work for me. We get to do all the funeral work for Bonnie Watson and honor loved ones on their way out, huh? Yep. So I would say that's the most rewarding part. Babies and funeral work. I would say like a focus on helping the general public with homelessness and drug addiction, honestly, would be helpful to small business. I take a lot of pride in my work. I treat everybody like family in here. While I'm dealing with their loss and grief, I try to make sure that I'm making the best possible thing that I can for them. And in turn, I get a lot of love back. So it's a nice community family feel in here. My repeat customers are people who, their families are buried here. So as I'm seeing people over and over, I'm listening to the stories of how they lost their dad and then their son and then their brother and then their wife. Like, that is my whole business. So it's important for me to keep good relationships with everybody and treat them well, treat them like family. I want them to leave here, even though they're grieving, confident in giving me their business and that I will do an honorable job for them. It's not as glamorous as people think. I think people always think that florists are frolicking through fields in summer dresses, just picking wildflowers, and it's such a small part of it, the design work. It's really muddy and dirty and wet and labor intensive, and I think that's kind of the funniest part is people think that you walk into a flower shop and you just get to play with flowers all day, but it's a lot more work, physical work than that. And people just don't see it, what it takes to actually make these things beautiful and get them where they're going. It's a process. And people just don't realize. Huh? People don't know how hard we work, huh? No.
Almost 4.
When's your birthday?
Soon.
Sure.
What do we look for to know that your birthday's coming?
Red leaves and pumpkins.
Yep, red leaves and pumpkins means it's almost Chevy's birthday. Yeah.
Well, that's all I have. Thank you very much.